It wasn't so much a marriage that was broken, it was an entire system of belief crumbling. A divine vow founded upon years of devotion and sacrifice was destroyed, and it was done in front of an audience of millions. The Brown family, once a dauntless example of plural marriage working in the modern world, is now something else entirely. They're now an emblem of emotional turmoil, quiet betrayals, and women finally deciding on themselves after years of being set aside. I'm Monica, and this is Sister Wives Underground. We don't just discuss what's happening here, we sit with it. We explore the hurt behind the headlines and pose the deeper questions others won't ask. If you've been watching this family as long as I have, reflect on it. When did you know things would never be the same again? Because this isn't gossip. This is about actual change. The kind of change that wakes you up at 3 o'clock in the morning after decades of being instructed to wait, to believe, to keep holding out. But things didn't get better. Things got worse. And when the cornerstone you've based your life on, spiritual obligation, co-parenting, allegiance, no longer holds, something gives. Christine spoke the truth first. She was finished playing games, finished smiling and being ignored. Her 2021 breakup was more than a split. It was a break from dependency, and that shockwave rippled through the entire family. Janelle, ever the level-headed one, attempted to preserve things as they were. Even she was exhausted, however. Exhausted from not allowing herself to cry for the sake of harmony. Exhausted from seeing her children endure the pain caused by the emotional chasm that had developed between them all. And then there was Meri. She didn't need to say a word. Silence spoke louder than words. Having spent years being emotionally abandoned, she stealthily started reasserting herself. She began piecing together the fragments of who she had been before everything began to disintegrate. While Cody was holding on to an existence of the family that no longer was, in his own head he was still the patriarch, still clinging to the dream. But that dream had already bypassed him. So what do you do when the family you've given your all to starts to disintegrate? Not with a devastating blow, but through gradual, agonizing, and public disintegration. The break came when Christine finally stood up and said, "I'm not happy. I deserve more." It wasn't a moment, it was a revelation, a truth that couldn't be denied any longer. Christine's choice to walk away wasn't about closing down a relationship, it was about taking back her life. For years, she'd been the one holding it all together with a smile. She was the wife who cooked meals, raised the children, lived the vision of plural marriage, and stood in the background while her needs gradually eroded. But something within her finally reached its breaking point. And quite frankly, it had to. She had spent too many years watching Cody drift away emotionally, especially after Robin entered the family dynamic. And let's not sugarcoat it, we saw it too. The favoritism was obvious, the emotional distance was painful. The connection, once shared between husband and wife, became something hollow. Christine was no longer a true partner in the marriage. She became a name on paper, not a person being loved. And that isn't just painful, it's humiliating. When she quit Cody in 2021, it was not a rash or impulsive decision. It was after years of attempting. She attempted therapy. She had difficult discussions. She exposed herself and opened up. But when Cody informed her that he was no longer attracted to her and did not want to work towards the relationship, that was when everything shifted. That was the ultimate break. Christine packed up her belongings, informed the children, and departed for Utah. With each mile, she was reclaiming her self-worth and her identity. Of course, the effect on her children was complex. They felt the change deeply, particularly Truly, who was still young and trying to make sense of what was going on. But Christine handled it all with grace and truth. She didn't merely want to flee, she wanted to teach her daughters what it means when a woman finally chooses herself. Then entered David Woolley, a love affair in a different vein than any Christine had ever experienced. No drama, no sister wives, no games, just love, just happiness. Years of being invisible were over, and Christine's whole vibe shifted. Her smile was authentic, her laughter was booming, her social media was now a joyous celebration of her real life, not the fabricated one she played for the cameras. She's creating something new, a short-term rental business, a memoir, a new beginning. And she's doing it all while flourishing online, not only as an ex-sister wife, but as a woman writing her own narrative for the first time. Christine's journey became a metaphor for every woman who has remained silent far too long. For every wife who secretly hoped that one day her own desires would be important. Christine ended the waiting. She ended sacrificing her own joy for a fantasy that never really belonged to her. She's not only free, she's finally complete. Whereas Christine's exit was a climactic turning point, Janelle's has been more gradual, but more subtle, but equally compelling. Christine might have struck the match, but Janelle lugged the wood. Her tale isn't one of one moment's decision, it's one of steady determination. It's of enduring years of stress and gradually stripping away layers of fatigue with a weight of finances no other person cared to shoulder. All throughout, Janelle was steady, steadfast, and determined. Since leaving Cody, Janelle has been reconstructing her life with intention and patience. She started Tata Farms with her kids, a business based on sustainability and legacy. She's not seeking the limelight like the others. She's not taking glamorous selfies or becoming famous on social media. She's not searching for new love to prove herself. Janelle is just creating a life that honors who she's always been, strong, steady, and independent. And she's no longer pretending, particularly when it comes to how she feels about Robin. She's told her in no uncertain terms. They were never really close, and she's not going to pretend there was some deep connection where none existed. Janelle's finished playing for show. She's not furious, she's just truthful. And sometimes truth is the strongest position of all. What makes Janelle's journey so compelling is that it didn't come with fanfare. She didn't make a dramatic exit or seek quick rewards. She simply said, "I want peace and I'll build it myself." Brick by brick, she's doing exactly that. She may not raise her voice, but her quiet strength speaks louder than words ever could. While Christine made bold moves and Janelle stood firm, Meri's path has been something altogether different. It wasn't loud, it wasn't public, at least not at first. Her story unfolded slowly, quietly, a hidden storm of heartbreak, hope and realization that took years to fully reveal itself. And truthfully, it may be the most heartbreaking transformation of all. Meri was the first wife. She assisted in constructing the whole foundation of the Brown family. She had faith in plural marriage more than anyone else. But she was also the first to be left behind. And when the emotional neglect began, it wasn't clear at first. It crept in slowly. A cold shoulder here, an overlooked need there. Gradually, she was relegated to the periphery, physically there but emotionally forgotten. And then, of course, the catfishing scandal, a desperate, misguided attempt to be seen, to be wanted. But instead of receiving compassion, Meri received judgment and isolation. Instead of support, she received silence. And Cody, well, he made his feelings clear with brutal precision. Meri would later own up to the fact that he hadn't looked at her as a wife in more than a decade. That kind of rejection hurts. It leaves a permanent scar. What makes Janelle's journey so compelling is that it didn't come with fanfare. She didn't make a dramatic exit or seek quick rewards. She simply said, "I want peace and I'll build it myself." Brick by brick, she's doing exactly that. She may not raise her voice, but her quiet strength speaks louder than words ever could. While Christine made bold moves and Janelle stood firm, Meri's path has been something altogether different. It wasn't loud, it wasn't public, at least not at first. Her story unfolded slowly, quietly, a hidden storm of heartbreak, hope and realization that took years to fully reveal itself. And truthfully, it may be the most heartbreaking transformation of all. Meri was the initial wife. She assisted in constructing the whole foundation of the Brown family. She trusted in plural marriage above everyone else. But she was also the first to be left behind. And when the emotional abandonment began, it wasn't clear initially. It emerged gradually. A cold shoulder over here, an unmet need somewhere else. Gradually, she was relegated to the periphery, conspicuously visible but emotionally abandoned. And then there was the catfishing scandal, a desperate, misguided act to be seen, to be wanted. But where she was met with understanding, she was met with judgment and exclusion. Where she received support, she was met with silence. And Cody, he spoke his mind with harsh precision. Meri said later he hadn't thought of her as a wife for more than a decade. That kind of rejection doesn't just hurt, it scars forever. Let me know when you're ready for the next segment. It all came crashing down in the moment. But instead of remorse or reflection, Cody greeted it with rage. He wasn't sorry, she was defensive, livid, wounded. He complained about betrayal, about loyalty, and about quitting on people who didn't respect him. But to most viewers, it didn't seem like strength. It seemed like a man suffocating on guilt and blaming that guilt on others. There was no humility, no accountability, only endless monologues and rough corners. Fans who had supported him, even in his flaws, were now left sitting in shock. Because the reality was no longer concealed, Cody didn't lose just his marriages. He lost the family's trust. And perhaps even the viewership who initially considered him a true, albeit imperfect, patriarch. And then there's Robin, the wife who remained by his side. Her tale could be the most intricate of them all. Or, if you ask anyone, the most frustrating. When Robin first joined the family, she was held out as a bright new beginning, the woman who believed in reconciliation, in recovery. Cody actually referred to her as his soulmate, but over time the illusion dissipated. And today, Robin isn't living happily ever after, she's living in the wreckage. Robin once occupied the role of peacemaker. She cried when the others were injured. She professed to want harmony, but that facade started to crack. There was one moment, though, that continues to haunt long-time fans, when she callously discounted Christine's raw emotion with a snickering moo remark. It was chilly, it was heartless, and it altered perceptions of her. That was the point of no return. Robin wasn't only disconnected, she became the very personification of everything the other wives were leaving behind. And then there were the financial issues, the opulent decorations, the costly doll collection, the lifestyle that was not consistent with the collective sacrifices of the other wives. While Janelle was camping in an RV, Robin seemed unscathed by adversity, and the concept of the family pot, the collective resources, began to seem unfair. One person was continuing to take while all the others had forfeited. But perhaps the most truthful moment was when Robin, crying, said she felt like the fool who stayed. Not the favourite, not the winner, just left behind. She wasn't living her dream. She was trapped in a version of it no longer similar to what they'd all committed to. A dream everyone else had the guts to walk away from. As you step back and consider the whole picture, the destruction, the devastation, the years lost, what emerges above the wreckage isn't tragedy, it's resilience. Christine, Janelle, and Meri didn't leave Cody. They left a system that asked them to remain small, remain quiet, and continue to give up. And now, they're all taking back their voice. Christine in bold delight, Janelle in quiet strength, Meri in steady rediscovery. Reality TV might have revealed their worst moments, but it also provided them with an outlet to be heard, to expose other women to the possibility that remaining isn't always strength, and exiting is not failure. Sometimes choosing yourself is the boldest thing you can do. So now we're asking the actual question. Is it more worth it to remain silent for peace's sake, or to leave and finally catch your breath? Let me know what you're thinking in the comments. Whose story speaks most to you? Christine's fearless leap, Janelle's quiet bravery, Meri's unassuming healing, or perhaps even Robin's solitary battle to retain? Thanks so much for watching. I'm Monica, and this has been Sister Wives Underground. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and come back for more real talk about the stories behind the show.